Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast. This is my review of The Old Woman with the Knife, a Korean action thriller from 2025. Following plot synopsis was taken from Wikipedia. The film starts in 1975 with a woman named Hornclaw, who is a street urchin adopted by a kind couple who own a diner. They kind of keep her around to help out with the the dishes and assist in the business as compensation for feeding and housing her. Well, certain events transpire, and the husband later reveals himself to be an assassin of an underground organization that's masquerading as a pest control company dedicated to removing people who are considered vermins in society. He trains her to become an assassin codenamed Nail. Decades later, which most of the film takes place decades later, in the present day, Hornclaw is now a seasoned assassin in her 60s and has become a legendary figure in the underworld who is renowned for quietly assassinating targets with her poison-tipped needles. However, she has become dissatisfied with the organization in the present day, as now they're more like a generic assassin-for-hire company instead of a more noble assassination organization, if that could be possible. But, she faces upheaval when Bullfight, a skilled young hitman, seeks to partner with her. So I've heard some good things about Old Woman with the Knife. There's been, at least where I've been looking on the internet that's come across it, it's have a little bit of hype for this one. But I was even more intrigued by the director, Kyu-dong, who previously directed Memento Mori, the second film in the Whispering Corridors franchise, All About My Wife, and The Treacherous. So he's directed some good stuff. He certainly likes to bounce around between different genres of film, from horror to romantic comedy to eroticism to action. So it's cool. The opening 10 minutes are pretty intense. It certainly sets the tone for the rest of the movie. Our protagonist is able to successfully fend off a potential assaulter, but it's still a pretty violent scene and has an edge to it. You could tell this is going to be more of a gritty genre film. There's another brief scene showing one of her early kills as a hitwoman, and then we cut and are transported to the present day with our much older protagonist, as she uses traditional poisoning methods to take down an obnoxious train passenger. In any case, her old body's like breaking down at this point, and she's suffering from a number of physically debilitating conditions, that you get with age. And you could tell she still has a talent for killing, but her current condition makes every job difficult. Meanwhile, the young hitman is running around as well, and he's being recruited by the same assassin organization, and they cross paths, and that's when the sparks start flying. Now, to be honest, I would say that the story of this movie, it's pretty familiar. When you compare it to other hitman movies, you get rivalries within the organization, a set of rules that must be followed, various jobs that could go bad, etc. Personal grudges. Pacing is a little bit on the slow side at times, and the character work here is pretty basic stuff. The movie does not really distinguish itself from a lot of other movies of this type. It doesn't give you much that's new or creative, which does kind of limit its entertainment value to a degree. The plot does thicken, and things become personal later on, and that's when the primary conflict kind of arises. It makes it a little bit more engaging. It does help to make things hold your attention better, I would say, during like the mid portion through the end. But the script writing is pretty cliche here. It's not bad, but it's nothing noteworthy. It's pretty good. Now, Hye-young is convincing in the lead role. I've only seen a few of her films, though, over the years. One of my favorites of hers is No Blood, No Tears from 2002, which I reviewed years ago. And, in my opinion, that was more of like a fun and impactful action thriller when compared to The Old Woman with the Knife. If only because, the violent altercations in that film were more vibrant and fun, No Blood, No Tears had a steel cage match, for goodness sakes, right? They give you some stuff that's, like, different a little bit. Now, on the contrary, most of the action scenes in The Old Woman with a Knife consist of pretty good hand-to-hand fights. It's pretty good, involving knives and melee weapons. Probably over-edited a bit when compared to martial arts films from other countries, but the craftsmanship is effective enough. The fights are also pretty abbreviated in terms of length, which means that they lack sustained excitement. There are a few scenes of suspense to mix it up, which are also pretty good. Can you see a theme with my use of pretty good when describing things from this movie? Now, most fortunately, the entertainment value gets a kick in the butt during the finale, which is the best scene of the film. It throws in some gunplay, which definitely helps to add intensity, and it has the best fight of the movie. So this definitely finishes stronger than it starts, which is a good thing. But I would say, this movie is, on par with, I would say, the majority of Korean movies from the past handful of years, right? It's moderately entertaining, but nothing special. You know what I mean? So it's currently streaming on YouTube and Amazon if you're interested. And if you've seen this, let me know what you think. I could see some people maybe enjoying this more than I did. But let me know. And as always, I'll see you next time.